As banks around the world struggle to emerge from under the wreckage of this financial crisis, more and more of them are stopping to consider Islamic banking as a possible way forward. It's a system which has been around since the 7th century, but is now being considered not just in the Arab world, but in Western countries hit hard and trying to recover. At its heart, Islamic banking principles differ from traditional Western banks in two key ways. The first is that earning interest is forbidden. Profits can only be made on tangible assets. The second is the idea of partnership. If a bank makes a loan and a business makes a profit as a result, the bank shares in those profits. And crucially, the same applies for losses. The burden is split between the borrower and the lender. Which means Islamic banking is, at its heart, more cautious. And banks take a very close look at any deal to make sure it meets ethical standards.
Let's not call it Islamic banking. Let's call it, a profit sharing and loss sharing something. Just skip Islamic banking, the word Islamic banking. But it's ethical banking, really. I mean, we make the people trust to us, and we don't, gamble over their monies. Maybe it's a very harsh wording, but we don't, create new, weird instruments, to invest. We don't do that. Yes.
One of the more intriguing questions being asked right now is whether this global financial crisis could have been avoided if Western banks had been more open to incorporating Islamic principles in the first place. According to the experts here, the answer is yes. This financial meltdown might never have happened.
Every Islamic finance transaction has to be based on assets. Now that is a good thing because you do not have the infinite leverage model that you have in conventional banks. The caveat is that a subprime asset is still an asset. So I will not say that it wouldn't have happened, but I'm saying that you would not have had these multi-tranched synthetic transactions where you are slicing and dicing the asset in question.
And that's a critical point because it's exactly that slicing and dicing which turned this crisis into a catastrophe. Banks in the West became embroiled in increasingly complex financial models, and when they collapsed, all the money disappeared because there were no assets to back it all up. It never would have happened using Islamic principles because creating these synthetic transactions is forbidden. Which means this trend toward incorporating Islamic principles is likely to gather pace. As Western institutions realize the latest new idea on the market has been around for hundreds of years, and all that's needed is simply to reintroduce ethics to the financial model. Owen Fay, Al Jazeera, Doha.